Hey guys, welcome to a midweek update here from Bowhunt or Die. You know, it's kind of interesting, Justin, as I watch these segments roll in from almost 9 years ago. You know, when you start thinking about hinge cutting and food plots, I mean, we've kind of taken all this stuff to a whole nother level, in my opinion.
I've never hinge cut a tree in my life.
There you go.
So there
That's
you go.
what I'm talking
I'm not
about.
taking it to any other level, but Clinton Fawcett certainly is during this off season. You know, a lot of guys are focused on looking for shed antlers, right? Clinton decided, I'm not going to do a lot of shed hunting this year. What I am going to do is some habitat improvement. And he went out and did some work that I know has created a little bit of a tension between him and Frank. Clinton didn't mention it here, but Frank's a little mad at Clinton for cutting down what he perceives as some of their bedding areas. But it was done for a reason, so we're going to stop talking. We're going to check in with Clinton right now, who's going to give us an update on what he's been doing during the off season.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. It's Saturday. Not sure what the date is. We're getting into late March here, though. Out on a little quick scouting mission this morning. Hadley's got a basketball game in about an hour and a half, but I had about an hour here to waste. So I'm up here on the north end of the farm looking at some cedar ridges and some of our bedding areas, and just kind of going through them. One thing that I found this winter when the snow was on, I wish I would have filmed it, was in these big cedar patches that we have, they've gotten so tall they don't provide any ground cover anymore. You know, they're all canopied out. You can see behind me here, you know, you can see really far in here. The deer, they just don't like that. When I was a kid, and even just 10 years ago, and these cedars were shorter, there was a lot of deer in these areas, and now there's not so much. So I've been going around hinge cutting some of these cedars, not really hinging them, just flush cutting them, getting them on the ground, open the canopy up, and provide some side cover. But what I'm doing is going through here today. I'm going to spend about an hour up here just looking around and trying to get a plan. Frank and I hunt on this end of the farm a lot. This is where we killed snowbird. This is where Frank killed that nice 9-pointer down the bottom a couple years ago. We shoot a lot of does up here. It's one of our main spots. But over time, I've put food plots in up here. I feel like maybe I've done too much, so I'm going to take one of those out and put it back into switchgrass. And I just feel like it's getting opened up too much in here. So that's what I'm after this morning. I'm going to take a little quick walk, hopefully not find any EHD deer, and look at these bedding hillsides and see what we can do to improve it. And then maybe get up here tomorrow with the guys and get to work on it with chainsaw. So anyway, that's what we're after. Here we go. Okay, so right here is a great example of what not to do if you're hinge cutting. I came in here and cut these elms. You can see them there, a couple big elms, and it did open it up, and it did provide a little bit of ground cover. I cut them up high because I thought that's what I should do in this situation, so the deer will be able to have some overhead cover. You can see the deer walking right underneath of them, and that's great, but here's the issue. I cut these head high, which is dangerous because I was an idiot, didn't know what I was doing, but all the regrowth that has come out the top is way too high off the ground because it still is not providing any food and it's not providing any ground cover. If I would have just cut that tree down at the stump and let it regrow, all that stuff would be down low and it'd be a lot thicker. So that's one of the things that I've been working on, is not, when I'm doing any hinge cutting at all, is not just cutting up high, but I've been cutting a lot more down low because now I can come back and see how thick this has got, and all I really did was created another canopy that I got to deal with. So, you know, here is one spot where they bed. As you can see, there's one single bed there. What's it have? It has a flat spot. It's got the ground cover behind us from where that treetop fell, okay? And most importantly, it's got a nice view it can see down below, so it's safe. you know, that's a good thing to think about. As I've hinge cut stuff, I used to just go through and hinge cut everything just to hinge cut it because I felt like I was doing something and my ADHD kicks in. But they really got to have a flat spot to bed on. It can be a hillside, but there needs to be something they can lay in. So anyway, enough of that. I'll keep on going, but you know, this is just a great example. You can see, you know, there's all kinds of these elms up here. This one, look at all that nice stuff that's growing out the top that I just wasted. You know, same thing here, right there. Wasted all that. Deer can't get to it, so it's pointless to do it. Anyway, on these hillsides where I hinge cut that, I pretty much wasted my time because I cut too high. The deer aren't going to bed where there is cover on the ground, and all the food and the thickness that I could have created is now up in the air. So anyway, we'll keep going. As you can see, I'm back here in these cedar patches I talked about yesterday. I'm just working down through here and cutting down these elms. I know from past, like I showed you over there, that the elms will sprout a bunch of regrowth off the bottom. So I'm cutting them low, just dropping them down here in these cedars. This will make make a great place for the deer to bed. They bed in here a little bit already, but as you can see down here by the ground, you can see a long ways in the cedars back here. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting all these little elms in this grove down. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. That's going to create a lot of regrowth, make this a lot better bedding area, plus provide them a lot more browse. So anyway, I'm just going to keep working down through here today, and that's the project.
Justin, I think Clinton points out some real good things there. I know you don't do very much hinge cutting, but you know what?
Or any,
as you already brought. You know, but I do. I mean, whether it's even in my backyard because I want other tree species to get the light that they need to be able to grow. I mean, it is actually kind of really rewarding and really cool, and there is an art to it, and I don't know that there's exactly a perfect right or wrong because each way that you cut the tree, you're going to get different results, as you saw with Clinton.
I'm just thinking about hinge cutting in my own backyard. I'm gonna go cut all the trees down in my yard. Even though I don't have any deer around, my wife's gonna wonder what I'm doing in the backyard.
You gotta practice somewhere.
Honey, I'm hinge cutting all of our ornamental trees in the backyard.
No, stop. You know, because let's just be frank here, guys. I mean, it seems like more and more people you talk about, and I had this other conversation with someone the other day. I mean, sometimes I feel like we may just be doing too much, right? Sometimes, I mean, just leaving areas alone or... What are we always looking for when we're deer hunting? We're looking for that spot that's been what? Untouched, right? You're always looking for that spot. This is a sanctuary. Justin, no one's ever been in here before. This is what we're looking for. And then what do? We go in and we start finding areas, hinge cutting them, planting, doing more, and who knows really what is going to be the end result that's going to give you what you want.
Getting really mixed signals from
No. Listen, this is interesting because some people feel like they need to be doing more. Other people are basically just want to do less, like leave it alone. That was the discussion I had earlier with
I think in Clinton's case, they identified it, or he identified an area on his property that the deer weren't using, right? He was able to go in there during the winter and see there's not a lot of tracks in here, there's not a lot of beds in here. It's a good area that used to have a lot more deer, but because the vegetation had grown up so tall and had shaded out everything underneath it, and I've got a few of those cedar patches on properties that I hunt, and I think a lot of people fall into this trap of like, oh, there's cedars over there. There's going to be deer in it, right? But you get into them and it's just dirt ground. There's nothing growing, and you get down and you look at like a deer's eye level, and there's not a whole lot going on there. So I think he's doing something that a lot of people probably wouldn't think of doing, but hopefully we're going to see some good results from it. You know, we're going to be checking in with Clinton on his food plot that he's putting in and some of the other habitat work that he's doing during this off season. So we'll be able to see, I guess, some incremental updates, see if it's actually working.
Well, and let's get some trail cameras in there. You know, put them on time-lapse mode. Let's see if those deer start moving into those areas right after you do that stuff.
Sure.
Because I tell you what, I've seen it work.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, a couple other team members have been out during the off season doing some work as well. Paul Morrison in Ohio has been, I know, frost seeding clover. I know we're getting a little past that time for frost seeding, here in the northern areas, but he was doing that in March.
How about that shed buck you found too? That's pretty cool.
Really nice buck. It was actually a deer from last year, so it was a year-old shed, but it was a big, I don't know how many points that side had, but it was huge. And then the other side would have been huge, but the deer broke it off, which I thought was interesting that he found the two antlers right next to each other. So they must have just obviously fallen off at the same time. So actually kind of a pretty cool update from Paul. He's got his little man Ryder out with him, riding in the backpack as he's doing some seeding. So Paul is multitasking during this preseason time. And then we've got Dan Richardson also out doing some tree stand preparation work. I've been doing the same, pulling some stands down, putting new seats on
I was
them.
impressed when you called me the other day saying you're already getting your stands down, and Justin's on fire again this year.
It's easier pulling them down than it is putting them up. But I had a bunch of
Especially
stands.
when it's cool out.
Yes, I had a bunch of stands that were like, the straps were starting to grow into the trees, and they were turning green, and it was like, it's time to do a little bit of a tree stand maintenance. So that's what I've been up to. Guys, that's all we've got for this episode of Bowhunter Die. It's turkey season now.
I got this smirk on my face, Justin, because all I can think about is that one photo that I saw floating around Facebook, which we're going to post up here, where the guy's got his kid on his back and he's shooting a shotgun, and everyone all freaked out because the kid didn't have hearing protection on. It was a joke, but you ever seen that image?
I haven't.
Oh,
no, this is a
okay.
bowhunting
We're
website.
going to put it
I
up
don't
here.
subscribe to all those
well.
those gun sites. Todd, I don't know what you're doing in your spare time out there.
Thinking
Bowhunting
about switching.
or die. So, guys, it is turkey season finally. So be on the lookout. We've got a lot of great turkey action coming up. A bunch of the guys went out to Kansas. Clinton killed a bird out there. Dustin went home to Wyoming.
Went home.
Killed a bird in Wyoming. So we got a lot of great turkey hunting action coming up over the next couple episodes. Make sure you keep tuning in. Thanks for watching.
Action.
Justin, I think okay, retake that.
Action.
Justin, I think Clinton points out some really good thing there with hinge country. I know.